The Spanish on the road. Faltaría más, tocar flamenco. No. Te doy la bienvenida a The Spanish on the Road, un podcast para estudiantes de español de nivel intermedio, intermedio alto, en el que aprenderás muchas cositas y expresiones. Para conseguir gratis el vídeo exclusivo que he hecho para ti sobre cómo conectar con nativos hispanohablantes, ve a thespanishontheroad.com y suscríbete a mi newsletter. Te dejo el enlace en la descripción. Hi everyone and welcome to this special episode of the podcast. Today, we're gonna do a little bit different here. I'll be recording in English because I have the pleasure of talking with Gemma. She's a life coach who is fluent in both Spanish and English, and we'll be using reflection cards as a starting point for a casual yet deep conversation, exploring different topics as they come up. At the end of the episode, we'll reflect on whether we felt different speaking English, how we see each other in another language, and if we can truly be ourselves when stepping outside of our native language. It's going to be fun, an introspective journey, so stay tuned. Hello. How are you?
I am very well and very excited to be doing this podcast in English with you. It's very strange for us to be talking in my language this time and not in yours.
I know, right? I was freaking out. I have to admit it because, I want to show vulnerable to my students because it's like, I feel like I hear you when you get nervous.
Yeah,
I do too, but we have to get over this.
exactly.
But why was, do you remember why we decided to do this?
Well, if we let's give away the secret to the listeners that before we pressed record, we were both talking about this because we were like, so what are we going to talk about? And why are we here? What are the questions? How did we decide to do this in English? And you reminded me of our conversation, and we thought this would be a brilliant idea.
I know, but the thing is like, I was like, the question was exactly, how on earth did I get myself, why did I get myself into this? Why I decided to speak English today?
You know why? Because you are brave. You are very brave, and you decided to end your year with a very brave, what's the word that I want to use? Challenge. A challenge of doing a podcast in English, and it's amazing. So you should feel very proud of yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, the idea was because we were talking about work-life balance, and then you explained us how to work on your values. That took us to identity, how some of your clients might identify as with other words in Spanish or in English, depends.
Yeah.
Because they found a different meaning. So we were like, oh, okay, we can speak English. And you were like, oh, yes. And then the idea of this is, so because I have this card game.
Mm-hmm. I love a good card game.
I know, me too. I'm a sucker for personal development. You know that.
I mean, anything. Look, I have so many types of cards surrounding me here because I use these so much in sessions because sometimes, whatever thing we're doing in life, we depend so heavily on words.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the words don't come. Sometimes they don't come in your own language, and even more times they do not come in another language. And so I think that having tools like this, that you'd be like, okay, I don't have the word, but I have a picture. Here's a picture. And it's a tool to be able to move through those moments when there's just a little bit of chaos going on in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. It helps so much to reflect. I mean, I love them. And so the idea is just using this, I'm going to read the question, answer, ask you kind of like a casual conversation. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, after, I don't know, when we get tired, we can be like 3 to 6 hours.
Yeah, we don't get tired very quickly.
And we are tired of talking. We can kind of discuss if we came across differently than in our native language, or
Yeah.
or in your case when you speak Spanish, just kind of I don't know, talk about it, how we felt, if we found ourselves different.
Mhm.
Because as of right now, I can tell your personality, I mean, to me, it's the same. I don't know for you, he has changed a little bit with me.
I will tell you at the end. There is something that's different, but we'll
Really?
talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll discuss it at the end. Yeah,
It's like the intrigue. Listen to the end of the episode to find out what Gemma thinks of Veronica.
That's really cool. I like that. I like that idea. Okay, so let's just jump into it, and I'm just gonna pick, I think, just one card because it's a game and it has rules, but we're just gonna do
We don't
whatever.
need rules. We
We don't need
need
rules, especially at the end of the year. Like, are you kidding me? No. Okay, first one.
Okay.
See. Okay, so this one is the deepest one,
Okay.
and this one is more like
I say go deep.
whoa. You can see you're a coach.
Yeah, like, yeah, let's go really deep and get into it.
Okay. So, if you could pick any career path and you were guaranteed to be successful, what would you choose?
Okay.
Oh.
Do you want to go first?
I mean, to be honest, I think this is something that I have very clear.
Yeah.
Because, I do a lot of reflection. I think I would like to be also, or either a psychologist or a coach, but I don't know, that's something that was really interested for me, like always, just like getting to know other people and help them in their goals, just bring some enlightenment to their lives.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. But you do that through what you do already, because the way that you teach Spanish, you have this beautiful combination of personal development, connecting with oneself, connecting with the human experience of being a person that is learning another language and living another culture. And you found this lovely way to bring that dream of being a coach, which I think you will be one day. I think that is where you're going with this, but we'll leave that out there. That you're already taking steps to bring that side of you into the work that you do already, which I think is, it's great.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I mean, it kind of mixes. Probably you've heard of this term, ikigai. I don't know if that's the pronunciation though. And then, so because I love languages, like I love speaking English and practicing, and now Portuguese, and probably I'm gonna learn another one in the future. But I think the mixture that I'm doing right now, as you mentioned it, that's why it's working for me. Like, it's really giving me a lot of happiness, to be honest.
Because you feel like you've got purpose in what you're doing. It's
not definitely
teaching, but it's teaching and making a difference.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, though?
I mean, I have to say, obviously, what I'm doing now, because I've just realized, this is so funny, I've just realized that we have a very similar path. So I was a teacher for a very long time. Obviously, I haven't forgotten, but I'd forgotten about the similarities between what I used to do and what you do. And I was very successful. I had my own academy and it was going amazingly well. And I could have carried on for probably quite a long time. And I already was successful. And so that probably would have grown. That probably would have got better. But life had other plans for me. And I think I talked about this the first time that we recorded a podcast. I got very sick all of a sudden. And so life just stopped. And for 3 years, I was forced to really, this is why I like to go deep. I was forced to go deep into everything about what I was doing, what was working, what wasn't working. And one of the things that I realized was that very much like what you do in the work that you do, I would say that 70% of my classes and the work that I did when I had the academy was psychology based. So I worked with children, adolescents, and adults. And they were all human beings. And they brought with them to the space whatever they were going through. And they brought their problems, and they brought their worries, and they brought their, their fears and excitement, and any emotion that they were going through. It came to the class as well. And I would say that 70% of what we ended up talking about, in whatever language, the language we would then choose, would be based on now what I do 100% of the time, which is unpacking. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's behind it. Let's see where we want to go. What can we do to change it? And I feel like I'm already doing now what I would do. The idea of success, it's a difficult word for me, because
Is it?
What does success mean? Are we talking about financially? Are we talking about personal satisfaction? Are we talking about success in the eyes of other people? I already feel like I'm successful in what I'm doing because I can see the changes that are happening in people's lives. And
yeah, that's success for you, right? I mean,
yeah, that's it. And if I could be a millionaire one day, well, I wouldn't say no, but I'm not that bothered about money, so it's not the top of my priority list.
Very interested. I never thought about this. I mean, we've known each other for, well, not for a while. Yeah, never stop about, like, I never, how do you say this? Oh man, getting too fast.
Have a moment, just slow it down.
Like, my thoughts are faster than my words, Yeah, I never thought about this idea of, like, actually we kind of have a similar past and path.
Yeah.
I don't know the pace. We'll have to see if that takes me.
I think you are on your path, and with all the things that you tell me about the future and your plans and where you're going and what you want to do, you are on your way. You are on your way, and you will get where you want to be, when the time is right.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Okay, another one. Ooh. Deep, right? You said deep. Okay.
Always.
I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce this right, but what is your kryptonite or greatest weakness? Madre mía.
I can tell you what mine is, and that will give you time to think.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it.
Mine is, well, I have two. I have one that's very personal and one that is personal but in a different way. So obviously my biggest kryptonite is my son. If anything ever, if he is wobbling, if he's struggling, then I automatically, oh my God, trying to hold the space for him so that he can find his way through whatever situation it is. That's definitely kryptonite for me. That's difficult. And the times where I've not been able to be the mum that I want to be, maybe because I was too sick, or maybe because there were other things in the way, they've probably been the most difficult moments of my life. He's always been involved in some way, but on the other side, he provides the most beautiful parts of my life as well. So it's this, this wonderful balance. But on a personal level, stress is kryptonite for me. Because I have 2 autoimmune conditions, and stress is not a very good friend of autoimmune conditions. When stress appears, my body goes crazy and starts to complain. So I have to be very careful about trying to find ways to keep balance so that, I do all the things that I love and I keep moving forward and I keep having goals and, enthusiasm about things. But sometimes reining myself in, slowing myself down, thinking, okay, no, you can't do 10 things today, maybe just 5 and 5 tomorrow. Because I'm very like Superman. If stress comes too close, I fall to the floor.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the part about your son, I mean, I think it makes sense, I think everyone in general, they want to be a good mom and be for them and be always like healthy and ready. But yeah, that takes a toll, so much like pressure on yourself, don't you think?
Yes, and I work with a lot of women in particular. I work with men as well, but I would say at the minute maybe it's 70% women that I'm working with and 30% men. And almost all of these women come with added stress in their lives, sometimes because they're mothers, sometimes because they're just women, and society's expectations. Or no, let me change that. Not society's expectations, the expectations that we think society has on us, being a mother, being a woman. And a lot of the work that I do is about letting go of some of these ideas of what we should be, the type of mother we should be, the type of wife I should be, or daughter, or girlfriend, or friend, or husband, or father. And that creates so much stress and pressure on all of our lives. And I think sometimes it's more simple than we realize. I think it's, when we go back to, we talked last time about our values. This is why I love work with values. If you reconnect and you feel so strongly what your values are, it's easy to get rid of the extra noise outside of your head.
Yeah, that's true. That's something that made me think. I mean, yeah, what you said about society expecting that. I mean, even if they expected it, that doesn't mean you have to go for it.
Exactly.
You cannot accent everyone, and you cannot be like for everyone. Especially, I mean, if you're ready for everyone and just like trying to accomplish what you're supposed to do because your age or your gender or whatever, I'm gonna say a bad word. You're fucked.
Yeah, you are.
You're fucked. Because
it's
that means you're not showing up for yourself and you're not taking care of yourself, because there is just like 24 hours a day for everyone. So
I mean, I love self-love. Self-love is like, it's my thing. I'm very
I know.
self-love. And it's this idea of self-love not being selfish. Self-love doesn't make you self-obsessed. It just allows you to shine the light on yourself first before you go out and share it with the rest of the world. And so you make the space for yourself, you create the environment that you need to feel happy, to feel strong, to feel grounded, to feel excited and happy. And from that space, then go and give to everyone else. Go do it. That's great. It's wonderful. We should all be sharing and helping and and forming part of society and communities. But if we forget to do that first bit, if we forget about ourselves, that's when it, like you said, it all gets fucked. It's all fucked in the end if you don't take care of yourself first.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, probably that's one of my weakness or kryptonite, right? Because I feel, I mean, it would be anxiety for me. And normally it's because I get into this like fight or flight response.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the end, thinking about it now that you were talking about that, it's pretty much like it hits me when I'm actually taking care of more of the external things and other people than myself. So I have to kind of like, okay, I'm gonna just like, close the door, turn the phone off, just listen to myself, do some yoga, meditation, whatever it is, take care of myself, self-love, and then go back home. That's how we would put
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Go back home and be like, oh, okay. So I'm feeling anxious because I'm trying to accomplish exactly what you said, what everything was supposed to be expected from me, right?
And
So,
and like you said, we create those expectations. So I also think it's important for me to say right now that I feel exactly the same way as you do right now. Like I've had 2 weeks that have been so stressful and so complicated. And, and I'm kind of like touching myself on the chest because I just feel this weight on me constantly. It's like, so much to do. Oh, it's nearly Christmas. Oh, I need to do this. I want to do this. And, I want to be successful, but successful not in money and all of these other different things. And I have the tools. I know what to do. I know what not to do. But we all still fall back into patterns sometimes. And we all still sometimes, go off the track and do things that are not in our best interest, really. I think the difference about where I am now and where I was, 7 years ago is that, yes, I'll still get anxious. Yes, I'll still get stressed. But it will take me a lot less time to realize what's going on. And so the period of anxiety, the period of stress, the length of time that I'm feeling all of this is in my body gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And I now have the tools to be like, okay, now I know what I need to do. So today is Tuesday, and I am working until Friday. And then I'm going to take 2 weeks off to do the things that you said. I'm going to do some writing. I'm going to do some reading. I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to sleep and have cups of tea in bed and eat lots of chocolate. But it's the time for me to go back to me so that from January onwards, I can then come out into the world again and be like, hello.
Are you an introvert? Or I don't know. How would you?
Yeah, it's a great question.
I'm curious because I tend to like charge also my energy. So yeah, I definitely like to spend time on my own and reflect and just like be comfortable with myself and my thoughts, like good mindset. But I also recharge a lot with other people too. Because I'm an extrovert. So
yeah,
in Christmas I'm gonna do both.
Yeah, good.
Like
balance. Balance is the key.
I have 2 weeks. I have time to do both, You
can explore everything. You can explore your introverted side and your extroverted side.
Exactly.
In psychology, obviously there's the idea of our shadow self and the masks that we put on when we go out into the world. And quite often when we feel so lost or we feel that we don't know where we're going, it's because we're too much on one side or the other. And obviously the ideal for everybody is to find balance. And sometimes I let this person come out and sometimes I this person. So my outer personality is absolutely 1,000,000% an extrovert. 1,000,000%. I love people. I love talking. I don't know if you'd realized, but I love
kind of.
Do not find it difficult to talk. I do. I'm not going to say I charge my batteries being around people, but it's something that brings a lot to me. I love, being around people, certain people, not all people.
Oh yeah, obviously. Not all of them.
Not all people, but if they are my special people, being with them and the idea of connection with those people is something really important in my life. However, my shadow self, the other part of me, is an absolute introvert and wants to sit in a room and read by herself and not talk to anybody and just have cups of tea and be quiet and be silent and not have to interact. So I think I'm both, and it depends on the day as to which one I feel is where I need to be and where I want to be.
Yeah, I think it's really, I think it's amazing. Like, I can tell, obviously, you've done so much work, like getting to know yourself, which is probably the best person you're gonna meet in life, right?
Absolutely, definitely.
That's the good part. But allowing yourself to have both sides, I think it's amazing, because back in the day, I couldn't do it. Like, I was just, okay, this is my tag, I'm an extrovert. But I didn't realize how much it helps me to be with myself, like, as you said, just with a book, not talking. And I love talking, but you have those times, and it's okay to do that too.
I went to Oxford a few weeks ago with my niece and nephew. I took them to England for the first time for their birthday, and there's this magical bookshop in Oxford. And it's got different levels. And I went down to the bottom level, and there were old, comfortable leather armchairs, and people were just sat reading, all very academic. It was Oxford, very intelligent. And I
whole academic setup.
Oh, it was so academic. And I sat on the chair, and I thought, this is where I want to live. On this chair in the middle of this bookshop, surrounded by words and ideas and just the energy from, I love bookshops, they're my favorite places. But and when I came home, I said to my husband, I said, darling, if I run away, you will probably find me in that bookshop in Oxford, where I can just go and not talk to anybody and just sit there. And so I'm very aware that is a big part of my personality.
But you might want to ask them a question, if they allow you to be on your PJs.
Yeah, that is a really important. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that's a good question to ask, huh?
I might need to find a different bookshop. They were very academic. There was no one in their PJs. Everybody was there.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I need to rethink it. I'll find somewhere new.
Okay. A ver, una más. What social issues, what social issues fire you up? I mean, just have one I have more, but one that just fires me up.
Okay, what is it?
Let's see if I can pronounce this right. Chauvinism. A ver, otra vez.
So where the stress goes, nod your head. Oh, chauvinism.
Uf, qué palabra. Yes. Okay, that one is a social issue that fires me up. Okay. I just can't take it.
What is it about it that fires you up so much? What is it about chauvinism that just completely gets to you?
I mean, probably just my own personal experience, because I've suffered from so much of that. Then now it's like I have zero tolerance, like zero. Just the minimum, just the bare minimum. Yeah. Someone might say something that is like related to that, and just like,
yeah,
like, what did you say?
There comes Beto.
And that is my other self, which is the name of the podcast. My other self, and that one is a Spaniard.
She comes out,
and she doesn't come out in a very good mood. And I'm just fighting for my rights there, and just like for like putting my limits. And yeah, I'm very strong with that one. Definitely.
A nice one, though. A nice one to fight for, a nice cause.
I mean, yeah, because I've seen the results of that, not even just with me, like personally, like other friends. I've seen people suffering from that. And not just women though, like men too,
Mhm.
because, well, you know, that would be another whole podcast, but that affects everyone. I think
It does.
that affects everyone. I don't know, when, let's say, I don't know, if I have a friend and then he told me, he could tell me something like, yeah, but I don't want to think about that too much, and yeah, I'm not gonna cry about it. It's just another girl, and I found another one. Like when I see a guy, for example, don't like a guy that is not allowing himself to have emotions and show them and share them,
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes from that source.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it's like, you're suffering. Like, you can tell me. I mean, it's okay. Like, you just broke up with her. Do you want to cry? Go ahead, cry. Like, it's okay. It's gonna help you way more than just like building up all those emotions, because that's gonna burst. And when it bursts, it's not gonna be in a good way. Then it's gonna affect someone else, or but obviously affect yourself. But you might take it on someone else, or I don't know. It's just not a good outcome, I think.
No, I feel so much compassion for those people, you know, whether it be women or men, that don't allow themselves, don't feel that they have the permission to be able to express what's going on inside, because it all comes from, you know, one, this idea of society's expectations. But if we go really deep on the inside, you know, them actually not feeling worthy of expressing those emotions, them not feeling that it's okay for them to say whatever it is, or to cry, or to shout, or to, you know, be angry about something, because if they do, they won't be loved. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's so sad.
it is sad.
It's really sad.
It is sad, because you can't even disconnect from your feelings. I mean, probably you've know this. I mean, you know this.
Maybe what? Tell me.
Or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. What is the name in English? Let me think. Dissociative disorder, I guess.
Yes.
Is it the word? Okay.
Yeah.
So you pretty much, you can disconnect yourself from feeling,
Mm-hmm.
good or bad. And I mean, I'm talking about this because I actually struggled with that for a while, and I had to go through therapy and stuff like that. And it was because I wasn't allowing myself to feel, because of the society expectations, or what I thought it was the expectation. I wasn't allowing myself to feel certain things. Like normally it's like, you know, rage, or like, let's say, no bad feelings, you know, like this
More uncomfortable feelings.
uncomfortable, yeah, because I don't want to say bad feelings, uncomfortable feelings, you know.
Yeah.
And that can really harm you. So that's why I think is, you know, it's really good to be able to express it, either if you're, I mean, doesn't matter the gender, really.
No, it doesn't. And I work with families as well. I do some family coaching, even though I'm moving away from that a little bit. But what I'm seeing with a lot of teenagers and young people is that disassociation is becoming more and more common. And so many, especially I think, you know, teenagers, when they're going through that complicated and confusing stage in their life, you know, they're just bombarded with emotions and hormones and new situations and new like neurological pathways. There's all this stuff going on in their little bodies, and they don't know how to cope with it. I think for a lot of them, disassociation is the only way that they know how to move forward, because the feelings and the confusion is so big. I don't want to feel this. I'm going to disassociate. Obviously, on a subconscious level, they are not deciding from here.
Oh yeah, no, it's your brain protecting you, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you? The issues that fire you up? What would you say?
I would say people not being able to access things because they don't have the money. So I do a lot of pro bono and a lot of free work. I work with charities, and X amount of my sessions every month and every year are for free, because I feel very strongly about I don't just want to work with a small group of people that financially can afford it. And also, my prices in comparison to a lot of my colleagues are a lot lower because of that reason. And I was listening to you and you were saying, oh, and this is what fires me up because of my personal experience. That made me think, oh yeah, me too. When I was growing up, I lived in a very, very complicated part of England. My mum didn't have money, she struggled all of the time. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was the judgment from people when I said where I lived, like the name of the place. So like in Malaga, for example, it would be Palma Palmilla, which is a very conflicted area of Malaga that has a very bad reputation. But not everybody that lives in that area is conflicting or bad or horrible, but they have to live with the weight of the reputation of where they live, and they probably don't have the same access to a lot of things as maybe people that live in a lovely area in Madrid or in Barcelona or in the States or in England. And that is the thing for me that gets me very fired, that if I feel that people are missing out on things that are important just because of where they live or just because of money, I'm a Scorpio. Then the Scorpio comes out in me.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. And you know what? It's not even fair what you said exactly. So let's say you grew up in, I don't know, in that neighborhood or another one. It doesn't matter the country, or it doesn't matter really. But the fact that they're judging you, I mean, you didn't decide. And the options for you to get out, I mean, let's be honest, I think it's not fair for that person to be judged just because they just were born in a bad, let's say, neighborhood, right?
Exactly.
Because don't you think they want to get out? I mean, probably,
and that's the
a lot of them want to and have more
they
opportunities.
Want to, but they don't have the same opportunities. They don't have the same resources. They don't have the same support. The schools often don't have the same amount of money to be able to bring in the people that would be able to, help them create a different path. Yes.
And also the blame, like the society blaming, kind of like, oh, okay, like if you want to, because there is like this, how do you call this? I don't know if that's the name, positive toxic. I don't know if that's the name, like toxic positivity. No, that's not a thing.
Say that again in English. Positive toxicity.
Yeah, kind of like like the typical phrase that you might find online, like if you want to, you can do it, or it's a matter of wanting it. It's like, not always, dude. You're like blaming. You see, I'm getting fired up too, dude. I'm like, dude, not always, dude. Not always people have that, that chance
that
to change that opportunity to change their life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would say
don't even play the game.
I think I would call that toxic positivity. I think
toxic positivity. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. In Spanish we switch things around.
Yeah, I was like, positive toxicity.
No, it's always the other way around. It's always the other way around, Okay. So yeah, I mean, we could be talking here for hours. I know that for a fact. But how about if we talk about the difference we found? First of all, the difference that we found on each other speaking another language, because this is the very first time actually we speak English.
It is. Okay, so what do you think first?
I mean, for you, I feel your identity in both languages is like pretty much at the same level. Like I don't see a difference. I mean, it's weird for me to hear you speak in English, to be honest, because in my brain you're like Spanish.
My brain also thinks I'm Spanish a lot of the time, and when I try and speak in English, I'm like, how do I say this word in my own native language? I don't remember anymore.
So because your personality also is I don't know, like very bubbly, the way you express the feelings, I don't know, you've worked on yourself so much, and I feel like the way you express yourself in English and in Spanish is pretty much at the same level, for what I can tell, though.
Okay.
For what I can tell.
What
do you find yourself different, though, or not?
No, but I think we talked about this last episode, but at lunchtime it came up again with my husband. I said something and I started laughing straight away, and I was like, I'm so funny. And my husband was like, you're not funny. You are not funny. In Spanish, you are not funny. I'm like, no. I am so funny. So funny. But there are certain things around humor and certain ways that when I'm talking, for example, to my sister, there's ways that I will speak and behave that are very different to when I'm speaking and behaving in Spanish. So I do think that there's a little bit of a difference. I think I am who I am, and I think I'm comfortable with who I am, and if and hopefully we will connect and we will find some common ground, but I do think that there are some subtle differences. What I wanted to ask was, what do you think about like tone of voice? Because I'll give you an example.
It's different.
A few years ago, I was in a restaurant, and my friend's mum was sat behind us. My Spanish friend, her mum was sat behind us, Charo. And after about an hour and a half, Charo kind of like, tapped me on the shoulder. She was like, Gemma. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I was with my sister as well. And she was like, all I can hear is you and your sister be like, bleep, 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 bleep. And she could hear this musicality in it. And she was like, it sounds like I'm listening to music. You don't speak like that normally, because obviously we used to speak in Spanish. So can you tell a difference that way? Like, can you feel something?
The music is the music is totally different. It's totally different. It's like, so actually I was this morning, I woke up in a not such a good mood, so I ran into your podcast. By the way, you have to tell the listeners where they can find you. Don't let me forget at the end.
The episode about energy, that was the
that one.
Okay.
And I was like, wow. It's like, and I was, because I've heard your voice listening to speaking English, sorry, but just in like very short periods of time, just like reels, not even real stories, or So I listened to the whole podcast, which actually helped me a lot. Thank you, by the way.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.
It helped me to change my energy. But yeah, the rhythm, the music is just crazy, man. Yeah. And I was like, and I was thinking, what if I'm talking to her and I'm changing the way I speak English? Because I tend to pick up accents. And I'm like, what if I start sounding more British?
Lovely.
even though my accent is not like that. But I was like, oh wow, the music is it's like more how is it, animated?
Yeah, animated. You see, that's
so much
one
more
difference between English or British English and American English. You say like animated, and there's no T there.
No.
There's no T. My son, who watches a lot of YouTube, who's like, yeah, mom, water. And I'm like, no, darling, water. with a T. I am British. We say water, and we say animated. We pronounce our T's.
I know, because actually my first teacher was, not my first one, but my private teacher was from Wales.
Oh, wow.
It was wild.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She was like, how can I get so hot water? And I was like,
Water?
eh? Not even that. It was like, water.
Yeah.
Water.
I mean, that's
And
the
when I got to the US, my English didn't work. I mean, you can imagine. I would say things like, I forgot already. Garbage instead of and people were like trash can, you know. And how do you say lorry?
Laurie, yeah.
Like words like that in the US,
Yeah.
they didn't work. So I had to kind of like learn all over again.
Switch it all over again. Yeah. It's fun. It's a fun game.
It is. No, actually, I mean, I enjoy it. It's fine. Yeah. So how about me?
So
did you find yourself different? You said something at the beginning. Now,
yeah. So in the beginning,
just gonna tackle it.
well, let's just go straight there. Let's go deep, Vero. Let's go deep into it. In the beginning, I could feel you differently. But I knew that you were a little bit nervous, which is why I said, I'll tell you at the end, because I knew that once we started talking and once you settled into it and once you kind of relaxed and we just, played with the cards and got into the conversation, that your real personality would come through and you would relax. So now my answer is, to me, you feel the same.
Yeah.
At the beginning you didn't, but I'm very aware that it was just this daunting scenario.
The imposter syndrome.
Exactly.
Knocking the door as always.
How do you feel right now there about
so much better? Yeah, but actually, I feel the same way. When I'm like very nervous, my personality doesn't come out.
Yeah.
And probably this is something good for the listeners. It might be times that you feel like you can speak, you cannot be yourself. But if you allow yourself to, like go through the breathing,
take a moment, just
take a moment. Remember, the mistakes are mistakes,
And that every time we make a mistake, whether it's with language, whether it's with life, whether it's in cooking, it doesn't matter, that actually takes us one step closer to doing things in a different way. And so making mistakes can be so helpful sometimes because it shows us what not to do. And that's just as much information and that's just as useful as doing things right first time.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. Yeah, that's something I have to remind myself, especially something that helped me too is the fact that you switch. So we just like you're in the video call and you were like, oh, let's just speak English, so that your brain can switch.
Yeah.
That's another good thing you can do when it comes to speaking, that you can kind of like warm up, because this is like going to the gym, you don't just don't go there and they just start lifting weight.
Or if you do, you will do damage. You can do that, but it's not the best way to do it. And so giving ourselves the freedom to just say, okay, I'm going to need a minute. I'm going to need a minute for my brain to switch on. I'm going to need a minute for the radio station to go from English to Spanish or Spanish to Portuguese, or for me, from English to Italian. Like whenever I switch, not with Spanish, because obviously it's different. I live, for me, the equivalent of all of this is Italian. When I switch into Italian, I need a minute. My brain needs a minute to be like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Okay. But, the first 30 seconds, 5 minutes, depending how long it is that I haven't spoken Italian for, like everything gets stuck for me in the same way that it does for everyone else.
Yeah. I'm out of curiosity. Have you worked with someone to get over the fear of speaking another language?
No. No, not that particular thing. But I have worked with a lot of people that have confidence issues. So public speaking or feeling confident enough to show up and say, okay, this is me. And maybe I know, and maybe I don't, but I'm just going to give it a go. So yes, I've worked with a lot of people around this area, which obviously speaking another language comes into. But not that one particular issue.
reason, right? And what else I was gonna ask you? Totally just
Blown away.
Just went away.
It left.
Oh yeah, what would be one tip? This is not in the cards. It wasn't in the script because there's no script today.
Look at you just improvising in English now, Beto. Look how far you've come.
A lo loco. What would be one tip for what would be one tip for students that are like speaking Spanish, obviously, that you would give them kind of like to get over that fear of practicing or that fear of speaking in public, since you're a coach?
I mean, obviously my teacher hat comes on as well because I taught for with my teacher hat on, I would say get as much contact as you can with the language. And that doesn't mean just sitting there and studying. It doesn't mean just classes. It doesn't mean, okay, I need to go and speak to someone, because all of those things are wonderful and amazing. However, there's lots of other ways that we can do that as well. So we can, if you like cooking, buy a cookery magazine in that language. If you like, for example, if you like Friends and you've seen Friends and you know what happens in Friends, and so it's a really easy program for you to watch it in Spanish. Or you know, put the radio on in the background in Spanish, because there's a lot of things that seep into our minds that kind of slowly trickle in, and we don't realize it, that the information is sticking, but it is. And so any contact time with the language that you can get in whatever format is going to help you move forward, even if it's not active studying or learning and, you know, using all of your concentration. So that's my teacher hat.
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. I mean, just let it sink in, you know, just watch, you can watch something on Netflix, or just send an audio voice to a friend, or taking a lesson, whatever it is. It just helps, because otherwise just gonna get rusty.
Like, and the more fun, the better. Because when
definitely
it's fun, the pressure disappears. And so that's why I always used to say to my students, stop thinking about it academically. Like, I love grammar. I am a grammar freak. I would sit and study grammar all day, every day. But most people aren't like me. Most people don't want to sit there and be learning about the, you know, the pluscuamperfecto del subjuntivo. They're like, so find whatever it is that is fun for you and do that fun thing in the other language. Even if you don't understand in the beginning, it doesn't matter. Just do it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I'm laughing because that's the way I work, actually. Like, pluscuamperfecto de subjuntivo, that sounds horrible, doesn't it? I mean,
not to me. I'm like, oh, what beautiful words. The pluscuamperfecto.
I know, but we are nerds. But for the rest of human beings, most likely it's gonna sound horrible. So I always try to make it fun for them and be like, okay, so have you ever had regrets, or have you ever scolded someone? So this is the time then. Like, this is the time, like the
this verb. Is when you want to use this.
This is when you want to use this. So kind of like, this is the situation, because I think it's so much easier to remember.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Como, ojalá hubieras comprado, yo qué sé, ojalá hubieras comprado más vino, Gemma. ¿No? I wish you would have. And I'm just like,
eso no pasaría.
Eso no pasaría, que no.
No.
But it's a way to kind of like scold you somehow. Kind of like, why didn't you do this?
Yeah.
So I try to make it that way and fun, with like this kind of sentences or whatever.
And make it more human. Make it more of a human.
Make it more human. Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's like if you're learning a language, most likely it's because you want to connect also with people,
Yeah.
Not just to sit at home and talk with yourself. I mean, you can do that, but it's fine. But that's the whole point. So yeah, we definitely have the same vision with connection. We have to talk about that more in another episode. So we're just gonna leave it here.
And what I would just say before we finish is, if I put my coach hat on, a tip. It is a tip, but it's not going to sound like a tip. It's going to be like, ugh, no, how do I do this? But the tip is the way to gain more confidence in general is to shine the light on yourself and start to love and appreciate and see all the wonderful things that you do. And that will then very slowly inside build you up and make you feel you will grow. You're like, oh my God, I can do this. Oh my God, I'm this person. And when you feel comfortable in your own skin, then it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're speaking another language, whether you're, speaking in front of 1,000 people at a public speaking event, whether it's going ice skating and you've never done it before. Yes, you will feel nervous. Of course you will. The nerves are there to create the energy so that you move forward, but you won't be blocked by fear anymore because you see all the things that are inside you and you start to feel like, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this, but there's a part of me that thinks, I've got this. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's going to work out. Well, thank you so much for your tip and obviously for the amazing conversation as always, because, with you is always a pleasure.
I love talking to you. They're always so fun, These
so
fun.
Just before letting you go, just please let us know whether people can find you if they need a life coach.
If they need a life coach or to listen to a crazy podcast.
I love it. Yeah.
I do a podcast once a week with an amazing colleague that is a doctor in positive psychology, and it's called Unpacked, a frank conversation. And basically every week we do what it says in the title. We unpack a word, an emotion, an experience, some word that we bring to the episode. And we are very, very honest, sometimes too honest, and sometimes I overshare completely about what that word has meant to us in the past, what it means now and in the future. So yes, that's every week. And then obviously I am on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as Gemma Lea Edelman or Gemma Lea Edelman Coaching. I'm kind of everywhere. I'm everywhere nowadays. I'm just like, hello, I'm on Instagram. Hello, I'm on Facebook. And my website is very nearly finished. It's a dual language one. So for your Spanish speaking students, they can check out the Spanish page at GemmaLeaCoaching.com.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I actually checked it out before our meeting. I have to say that. And it looks really cool. Yeah, I loved it.
It's nearly there. We're doing the final tweaks. It's not quite ready. So I'm hoping that in the next week I can go fully live with it. And then I'll tell the rest of the world that it's out there.
No, I really liked it. Yeah, I have some questions for you after our call, obviously.
for the next episode, the private episode.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to all the listeners. And yeah, talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. And let me just say before we go, congratulations. You did it. You've done your first episode in English. So I hope that you are going to be very proud of yourself today, because you should be.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Nos vemos.
Aquí. Me duele la mandíbula.
And then, as always, at the very end, I'm going to explain you the expressions that we used on this episode. But I'll just switch to Spanish because it makes more sense. La primera expresión fue, a ver, que la tengo por aquí, ser kriptonita, ser la kriptonita de alguien. Y pues eso es algo que nos debilita o que nos afecta de una forma significativa. Por ejemplo, el estrés es mi kriptonita, me deja sin energía. Otra de las expresiones fue todo se va al carajo. It all gets fucked. También podemos decir estar jodido o estar jodida, ¿no? Como I'm fucked. Y bueno, esta ya sabes que es una expresión bastante coloquial que se indica para hablar de una situación difícil o sin solución. Dices, joder, estoy jodido, estoy jodida. Y la última sería volver a casa, como lo decíamos como to go back home, pero refiriéndonos como a nosotras, volviendo a nuestro ser, ¿no? Es también un regresar al hogar, pero también puede referirse a eso, a reconectar con uno mismo o una misma. Pues bueno, eso es todo por el episodio de hoy. Espero que hayas disfrutado mucho y que hayas aprendido un montón. Ya sabes que si quieres conseguir el vídeo exclusivo que he hecho para ti sobre cómo conectar con nativos hispanohablantes, puedes hacerlo suscribiéndote a mi newsletter en thespanishontheroad.com. ¡Nos vemos!